The Joel Fernandez Show is a talk show channeled spontaneously from source to edify and help raise the vibrations of truthers, starseeds, Christic alchemists, and others who have seen through this illusionary matrix into messianic consciousness by discussing hidden knowledge, higher dimensions, and manifesting so that we can shine our light for everyone to see and co create the earth that we know we actually deserve to live in. Don't! I gotta go! I'm working on the show!
Here we go.
Welcome, everybody, to the Joel Fernandez Show. This is episode 50, and I'm Joel Fernandez. And, well, what can I say, man? I've been super busy. And that's a good thing because we are literally stepping into this new earth reality. So I just got back from hanging out with some really cool people. We've already started this movement where we're already holding some of these corrupt leaders, whatever you want to call them, accountable for everything that they're doing to people. And we are literally moving forward like never before. So yeah, you might have caught a bit of that in the last couple shows I did, working with the Pavlovsky brothers and really getting this movement going because, you know, church leaders aren't even present. They're scared just like everybody else. And the thing is, like, we got to stand up. We can't be complacent, especially now. Like, the pressure is on now. I know Arthur from like even 20 years back. He was standing in the face of tyranny. We had a different mayor here in Calgary and he was in his face, literally standing up for his rights, saying, you can't tell me not to assemble. You can't tell me all this stuff because it's actually illegal. He's been fighting for ages when the pressure wasn't even on like it is today. And now that this agenda really is being pushed, it's like, where are the people standing up to this? Like, why are the churches just buckling and doing exactly what the government's saying? Oh, that's right. It's because they sign an agreement when they become churchianity to actually uphold everything that the government says. And some even actually submit their sermons beforehand to these authorities to approve them. That's exactly what we're seeing. So Arthur has never signed anything like that. He's completely off the grid when it comes to operating his church. And that's why he speaks the truth. That's why a lot of the churchgoers really don't like him, is because he's actually exposing their own hypocrisy. And that's exactly what Yeshua did when he was on the earth. He exposed the hypocrisy of the religious institutions, which, after, of course, the destruction of the temple, became the foundation of rabbinical Judaism. But that stuff existed even in his time, and he was fighting against them. Man, he called them names. He called them vipers. He called the king a fox. And here people are upset with Arthur for calling these totalitarian dictators Nazi and Gestapo, when really it's the same thing. It's the same thing. In fact, to be perfectly honest, like, Gestapo and Nazis were even better than what we're facing today. It's like comparing working for the mafioso with working for the government. You know, if you do something wrong, the mafia will just kill you right there. But the government, that's a completely different story. At least tell me you're going to kill me if you're going to kill me. Don't make it look like you're doing it for my health. But everything that we see is so corrupt. It's all so corrupt, and it's great that we're breaking past these barriers, literally understanding who we are, what we've come here to do, and not settling for anything less. But with that being said, guys, I'm going to get in the house, and I'm going to prepare some dinner, keep chatting with you guys, and we'll just take the show from there, all right? So here I am in Studio B, and we are with our grains. Got all our grains here. Literally like the perfect stash. And I got my trusty 6-ounce cup here. And I'm just going to put 3 ounces of peas. 3 ounces of yellow peas. I'm going to put 3 ounces of mung beans. 3 ounces of green lentils. 3 ounces of barley. And we're just gonna head back to the kitchen to get some rice and chickpeas. And actually, I'm gonna grab an apple too, because whilst that's cooking, I'm gonna be making a smoothie. So let's get to the kitchen, shall we? So we actually got a whole lot of stuff going on here. I'm just gonna set up. Actually, let's get some lights. There we go. That's looking a bit better. It's only 3:30 and it's already getting dark early. Set this up here. Perfect. So yeah, let's get some chickpeas and rice and get this show on the road. So good. So good. I'm gonna actually get to rinsing these grains. So I'm gonna be using 3 ounces of brown rice and about 3 ounces of chickpeas. So we're just gonna rinse this out until the water runs clear, because as you can see, it is pretty dusty. Now that that's full of water, I'm just gonna add some cabbage and about half a carrot. And it takes some skill shredding cabbage, but I remember watching a Asian drama once where the chef literally says you have to get a rhythm when you're chopping cabbage, and that's how you know you've got it right. You have to feel the rhythm. So that's stuck with me since, and I chop cabbage better than anybody else in my family. So I'm wondering if that has anything to do with it. You have to feel the rhythm. Alright, so there we go. And we're just gonna put this on the boil for a good 40 minutes or so. I like my double digits. And as that's cooking, I'm just gonna grab a handful of spinach. We're gonna chop that up. And we're just gonna prepare our base by steaming this. Gonna add some turmeric and a bit of cumin. And we're gonna mix that up.
Mix, mix, mix! Can you do that?
And once that wilts nice and well, we're just gonna turn the heat down. And I'm gonna spice it up a bit with some Scotch bonnets. Yeah, that's right, guys. These are Scotch bonnet peppers because, well, quite frankly, I ain't a sissy. It's not like it's nothing I can't handle. And you gotta chop it fine to get all that flavor out of them. We're just gonna add that in there like that. And also some garlic as well. I literally eat this stuff with raw garlic, guys, so. And I'm just gonna sprinkle my ground flax seeds over that. And once the grains are ready, I'm just gonna add that hot straight into the pot. Those of you that watch the show regularly have probably memorized that recipe. You might wonder, like, why do I keep it so minimal? But the truth is that when you keep your diet minimal, you have energy to do other things. And of course, there's all the prep time and all. If you watch Joel's Bowl, you know that, man, I don't stop at basic recipes. Honestly, my go-to recipes are amazing. Everything from vegan lasagna to vegan pizza, from stuffed eggplants to stuffed pears. Literally everything from vegan kielbasa, vegan pierogi, Like, of course, vegan pudding, right? So yeah, like I have all of that stuff, but when we're doing these intensive programs where we're literally affecting the causal realm, it actually serves to tap in just that little bit extra and just work with, simple diets, but keep it real, Stay enlivened and stay on this edge where you're actually able to treat yourself, but you're still keeping in line with what you set out to do. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my podcast. My name is Happy Guru because I am so happy. I have invited you to come into my harem, I mean my tent, where I have all beautiful, beautiful meditation for you to buy. Buy my meditation because it will help you visualize yourself more clearly rather than tapping into your own inner self. Buy my meditation, my friend. You will be so well off if you buy my meditation today. But this has been Happy Guru. I won't ask you to buy my meditation anymore, but it is a very good meditation and it comes from the heart. I have spoken from my heart. I have allowed my heart to guide me and to give me this vision to share with all of you. So today, buy my meditation and it will really serve you. I am going to leave you with this one word of knowledge. There is nothing that is nothing because everything is something. That is the word for meditation today, my friends. Meditate on that and know that you are something. You are something. Buy my meditation, friends. Buy my meditation. Do not forget. Make sure you hit the link down. It's in the description to buy my meditation today. अच्छा बहुत अच्छा नमस्कार बिल्कुल बिल्कुल ठीक है. That kind of worked. Anyway, we're back in Studio A, and I just want to level with you guys. Like, honestly, there's so much I could share just from this computer, this hub, as I call it. It's got everything I've learned over the ages in it. But we could talk about that stuff, and like that's all well and good. That's all well and good. And I definitely have plans as to how moving forward, especially in the new year, I can incorporate more of that kind of information. But man, like when I level with you guys, when we just talk like I'm talking, it's like all these deeper things come up and like the explanation of so much more. So I just want to talk that inner talk, because these are unprecedented times. Honestly, we need that encouragement. We need to know like things are okay. But the thing is, like, everything's working according to plan. You got to trust the plan. And it's something so much greater that even what looks bad now, like, man, I'm talking literally manifesting the kingdom of heaven in the earth. That's talking on a completely different level. It's not just like looking back at history and saying, oh yeah, they broke out of slavery and that was a huge step. Or, they invented like hygiene and that was a huge step. All of these different things are huge steps, but what we're doing is we're literally entering a new era. It's not just like a huge discovery like the printing press or the cotton gin or whatever. It's like, really, we're stepping into a new phase of knowingness, beingness, and that consciousness is manifesting something so profound as individuals right now. As individuals. So as that blossoms in our own life, it just ripples outward. It's like manifesting reality. And I think so many times to myself, I'm like, how did the Canadian government, as an example here, an extreme example, how did the Canadian government ever legalize cannabis? And then I think back and I'm like, man, I manifested that. Like, you know what I mean? As an individual experiencing that reality, obviously I had a part to play in setting myself right for experiencing that reality. Not as in like preparing for that reality, because I didn't prepare, but I set that intention out. I sowed that seed into the causal realm, or my being, which is the progenitor, pronounced that idea, that logos, into the field, which is the spirit moving upon the face of the waters. That word literally went forth one day. I remember the day very distinctly. Now that this has come to my attention, looking back at it, I actually had this thought come to me this week. And it was just like this one time I took my friend and his friend, and I think one of their girlfriends came along as well. And we went to a march here in Calgary for, it was like the worldwide, every year they do it or did it. And it was like to legalize cannabis. And we went there. And of course, back then I was like daily user. But the thing is, like, I came home and I sat and I said, what would it look like if we were free? And I just sat down and I just saturated my mind with this what if end scene. And I just did that night. And I fell asleep. Like Neville Goddard says, you imagine something, you set your state of being right as if you're there experiencing it, you fall asleep in that state. It has something to do with the mirror of consciousness. This is a real effect. And the very fact that it is a real effect means that we have power over our experience of reality and the reality around us, and ultimately the totality of reality we perceive, I believe. But understanding that process of tuning our state of being in a way where we experience what we want rather than experiencing what we don't want, because that state of fear, that state of tension, is actually what creates a bad experience of whatever that focus of fear in us is on. And the words are coming through deep today. And I manifested some good things. I manifested things that I found out later on weren't quite so good. And there have been things, man, I manifested coming right to the precipice of. And I could see it. And even then, nothing's allowing me to get that which is right before me. I've done that too. And we got to be really honest with ourselves. Are we angry at Source? Important words here. Are we angry at Source for actually bringing us this experience without fulfilling it to us? That's heavy. That's heavy. But we got to be really honest. And if we are angry, that is a manifestation of that event not happening, perhaps. But it is a seed at the same time. And we're sowing that seed of anger towards this specific scenario, whatever it is, whether it's an idea or an object or a relationship or, some kind of success. If we're angry at not achieving it, that is a state of being. And that's preventing us from achieving that state of being. And it's actually a very unhealthy state of being, because we're angry at Source, subconsciously even. Even I had to deal with this just recently. There were things that I really wanted, especially in the realm of businesses, especially in relationships, and like working in certain environments. And certain things never came to fruition. And I realized that if I have this kind of antagonism inside of me at whatever force was capable of manifesting this and yet not manifesting it, it's like, how do we see Source? Doesn't matter whether that's self or whether that's external, because there is no inner outer world. When you really get down to it, the inner world is all that's there. And of course, we're experiencing life in these physical bodysuits. So it looks like this is me and out there is out there. But really, it's the experience of external that creates internal awareness. No, it doesn't create it, but it creates the experience of what we're experiencing. Awareness is primary, and that is I am. That's Yahweh, translated all caps Lord, which of course is the dog Latin that they use in their legal documents to nullify whatever it is they're talking about in two languages. They're using two languages to confuse the jurisdiction. And they're only negating the I am self, Yahweh. He said, I am who I am. So when Moses went, he didn't say, I am that I am has sent me, or I am who I am, or I am what I am. He said, he who is. And that verb, to be what you are, is conjugated in the third person singular masculine form as Yahweh. He who is who he is. He is in eternity. He is in existence. And that's what they're negating. It's a tough, tough world when you open your eyes and you realize the fleece that's just been pulled on humanity. But man, we're strong. We're strong and we're rising up, and that's why these physical things are coming to pass. That's why we're holding them accountable. Of course, in my own life, I can only speak from my life, but man, my life has just exploded with this kind of potential. It's like the solidarity movement, right? Now, 2020 members strong and growing. It just started like a week ago, and it's already at 2,000 subscribers. When I subscribed to this, we were only in the double digits. It's like, wow. I don't know what to say. But this is the 21 demands, okay? And I'm going to share this because this is what it's come down to. People got to stand up and actually be sovereigns. And being sovereign means you hold the people responsible for whatever trespasses. You hold them accountable. You bring them to justice. That's what a king does. The king decrees justice. And this is what the solidarity movement is all about. Number one, no unlegislated mandates, ever. And you'll be shocked to know that this doesn't even exist in the Canadian jurisdiction. So the one thing is that there was never a mandate. There was only a press release. But that beside the point. Number two, no compelled medical procedures ever. Free choice. Free choice. Number three, no lockdowns ever. Makes sense? Number four, no censorship or deplatforming imposed by government. Ever. Again, free speech. Arthur comes from Poland, so he knows what happens when they take away free speech. Once that's gone, everything else goes. And that's exactly what they tried. But the solidarity movement stood up to this tyranny and won. Number five, no government-owned or funded media, ever. You know all those pharmaceutical ads you see on TV? Now you know who owns it. Number six, local selection of judges. 7, referendums on key issues. I thought this was a thing, and then they did away with it. So we need referendums back in Canada. The right to recall politicians. I'd say that's pretty important. Number 9, paper ballot elections using picture identification to verify voter eligibility without mail-in ballots or electronic tabulators. 10, local police selection. 11, open public debate without censorship. What's wrong with the debate, right? Truth stands up to scrutiny. Number 12, transparent healthcare costs. It's sad when you take an ambulance ride and then you realize you owe $3,000. Number 13, standardized testing for education. Number 14, recognize parental authority in matters of education and medical treatment. This is important. This is important. Number 15, sovereignty over environmental regulations. They just declare an emergency and then they have grounds to do anything. Number 16, sovereignty over firearms rights. Number 17, sovereign local tax collection. Number 18, restitution or monetary compensation for those that have been subjected to illegal COVID mandates, especially losing your job and stuff. These people, even on unpaid leave, that's illegal. Students should not be blocked from attending school due to medical procedures they or their families oppose. Number 20, we want amendments to the Constitution of Canada to prevent the future abuse of power by the elected and non-elected individuals that we are seeing today. Yeah. We need to ensure this for the future. And number 21, clergy should be free to peacefully assemble. And that's something he's fought since the beginning. Like I was saying, he was on the front lines. I remember when he was under the bridge by the drop-in center, and I was still like in school, but I knew what he was up to, and I knew he was changing lives, and I knew that that wasn't happening in churchianity. And I found out later on that he had to leave from that place because it was just so violent. But he took his fight right to the city gates, and right in front of City Hall 3 times a week, he's meeting, feeding the homeless, preaching the logos, and he really does preach from his heart. So on top of his lion anointing, if there is such a thing, but there is like a lion that's just coming forth through him, and it's like when you hear him speak, there's no fear, and he knows what's up. He knows what's up, and he knows that he answers to a higher authority, the highest. All right, I got 5 thumbs up with only 4 views, guys. This is live example right here. I didn't plan on this, but you know this dude? Check out this video. 4 views and 5 thumbs up. Something's weird. Not to mention how this subscriber cap has been there since I started talking out about some of these subjects. But you know, like, what do you expect, right, from Satan's interface? Sometimes I watch my own videos, you know, like I learn a lot from my own videos as well. There's a lot of gold in those reasoning sessions, guys. Like I said, so much to just keep on learning from. And when you do your own reading, it will reveal another layer beyond that. Like, of course, one of the first layers to break is understanding how Yahweh literally means a concept or an aspect of how Source operates. And then when you put that in and you realize, you know, you're actually reading like a completely different book then, because churchianity is very easy. Like if you change the main character's identity, it's going to seem like a completely different book. Very interesting though. Very, very interesting uncovering these layers, guys. And like I said, do your own research. Plug in. Put the extra work in. And all of a sudden, like a new layer will just show up. Like it's coming through just watching my own videos, guys. That's for me. That's for me. And even like some of the videos, I don't even get that deep. And I'm still learning from those kind of videos. Other stuff. It's like a never-ending well. I don't know how much I'll keep going with the show. I want to keep going with the show, but I also want to keep going with reasoning sessions. Speaking of which, I should probably upload the file for tomorrow. I don't normally spend a whole lot of time in the office, and usually when I'm here, I'm editing the reasoning sessions. It's not like before when I was just plugged into the hub all day, just downloading all this information, literally like learning all I could. Even when I had the print shop, like I had Santos on, I would watch like all kinds of movies about like the lost history of the world, and of course like the Illuminati and stuff. So yeah, I'm just gonna upload tomorrow's reasoning sesh, which is shofar. Let's upload that. See, and that's another thing like we really need to address, because the things that I say here are completely biblical. Like it's on a biblical proportion that I see these things, but it's not the standard interpretation that you get in churches. There's such a deeper meaning. I don't know why. Like churches, they look like they have the best interest of their congregation in mind. And of course, some do a better job than others. But what is it that they're hiding in knowing that all of these things have a practical application to the physical world? Like, we understand how it does for awareness. We understand the historicity of sacrifices and then Yeshua. And we understand all of these things in perspective physically. But when we understand it, it has so many different levels. One for the body, one for the heavens, one for like mechanistic science. It's all so many different layers. The analogy is like a layer people think they're going deep with. But man, there's like so much that's just kept hidden. And I thought it was just like, oh, man wrote this stuff and whatever it is. But no, this thing is on a completely different level. Like I said, it's alive in itself. It sounds crazy, but it is. And that level of it being revealed as you read it, what is going on? What is going on? Like, how does this even work? It's because what we think of as life is so limited as, you know, the animal kingdom, plant kingdom. In the current state of being, man operates in this animal kingdom, but that's not what man was originally created as. And it's stepping into that Garden of Eden paradigm, which is literally a promise throughout Scripture, but they don't realize it. Tapping into that state of mind, rather than the state of mind of the knowledge of good and evil. And that is judging things as good or evil. Like, it will work itself out. Whether it's a good seed or a bad seed, you can't judge it because then you're involved in its harvest. Tough. We have to break out of it, and we have to allow that source consciousness. Like it says, we have the mind of Christ. What does that mean? Christ is above all principalities, powers, rulers, dominions, all of that stuff, far below his feet. And he is the head of all things, which are the body, which is us, the ecclesia, the church, the real assembly. And from there, oh man, all things under the feet. The feet are part of the body. That's up to us to exercise that kind of authority or that kind of sovereignty, that kind of manifestability while navigating this physical plane. Don't get me wrong, like, I know I make videos about Enoch. I know I make videos about all kinds of stuff. Like, I've read the book of Enoch. I've read a lot of the Apocrypha. It all has its place. But, you know, some is history. Some is added. Some is... The book of Enoch is really a hodgepodge. And there's a reason why... That's one of the reasons why it's not included in the common canon. But something about the canon is very specific, and it's talking ultimately about the idea of Yahweh, but manifest through Yeshua as a ransom for the genetics, which is in the blood of humanity. And that's what it's about. So anything extra that's not talking about that, it doesn't matter for the canon. But of course they'll argue and they'll say, oh yeah, they voted on this and they voted on that. And ultimately, it's this causal force that manifests into the physical that allows any of that to happen in the first place. So they can't come against something so transcendently causal that will actually cancel itself. So here's the thing. When the truth comes forth, people can recognize it when they enter that heart space. But when it is unable to come forth, it's like you're walking in the dark. So you realize the truth in accordance to the actual light. And that light is the living logos. The light that shines in the darkness is the life of men. And that's the light from which the world emanates. The word. This is John 1. I got off on a tangent there, but everything is through the understanding that it exists primarily because of the book itself. Because of the book itself. The book is alive. And it is alive on a level that we know not. Even out of this bodysuit, we can't comprehend that level of life. In my out-of-body vision that I saw, the whole scene was full of life. That the rainbow above the throne was breathing. That the sea of lapis lazuli was so alive, it was rippling like the ocean. But it was lapis lazuli. Pillars that were so alive, they emanated like a music. But they didn't have mouths to sing. And the light was so saturating, if I can paint a picture of it right now, it would just be white. But it wasn't white because it was all there and all alive. This life exists on a level we know not. And when you tap into that life, it will flow through you in such intensity that it just manifests before you. It manifests before you. Everything around you just falls into place like a robot solving a jigsaw puzzle. Manifesting. That is the manifestative power. And don't get angry with source because of a botched manifestation. Realize that that was just the nature of which you were able to receive it. It's a mirror, like what you're primed for on the inside is what you're primed to do on the outside. But the whole nature of changing that involves realizing it and forgiving it, letting it go. Letting it go. Letting it go. And then all of a sudden, that manifestation will show up again. And it will solve itself. It will resolve. The Bible is a manifesto on manifesting. It's a manifestation manual. It's a manual, but you got to know how to read it. You got to know how to read it. And the way to learn to read it comes from within. You can't see this. I'm pointing right here to my heart. It comes from within. There's a whole lot I can talk about. And I do want to talk about some of these physical things that have been hidden from our history. A very good documentary was brought to my attention. An expose of astronomical proportions. Astronomical, well, that's another issue. But honestly, there's a heritage that we can lay claim to, guys, that is beyond fairy tale. And I've known this since I was little. Why are fairy tales so enchanting? You know? Why do they matter? It's because they're a remnant of a heritage long past that we can't even fathom. And what we attribute to those eras has nothing to do with what happened back then. Our heritage is beyond our wildest dreams of surrealism and just otherworldliness. We come from a much higher place. We're realizing that. We're realizing that. We're stepping back up. We don't know what that will look like fully now, but pieces of the puzzle are being shown. Little slivers of information. It's an amazing future, guys. It's an amazing future. Stay strong, because we got this. Source has got this. Oh, it's good. Oh, it's good. Just had to say that. I don't know if Source wants me to say anything else. Just had to do that because that's the sound of victory. That's the sound of victory, guys. We got this. I mean it. Even the worst case scenarios are going to totally be flipped around. In a world that transcends fairy tale dimensions, ultimately, it's the same thing as the calendar. The lease is up, and we're seeing, it started in 2012, but it just escalated since then, the fall of the kingdom of Babylon on the minds of people. And when people's minds are freed in the way that they are in right now, it's like we see things on a totally different level. Then we manifest more things to know and more things to know. And pretty soon, we're walking in a magical realm where the science of the day is like the science fiction of yesteryear, for lack of a better word. I hate that term yesteryear, but anyway, it is what it is. And it's legitimate English, which is unlike some stuff that they do now. Like, language is fluid, but the controllers manipulate language. And they give us a language that actually enslaves us. That's why I refuse to call children kids. Because they're not kids. And when you call them kids, then they just become really crazy, unruly characters. But they're children. And actually, if you call them children, they actually behave much better. Anyway, that's just an observance. And I'm not saying you got to call them children. But it's just so prevalent. People have forgotten what kids really implies. And it's like, by our own words, we are justified. By our own words, we are condemned. It's the same thing. We got to really watch what seeds we sow. And then we're going to realize the harvest that we reap. And it's so easy. And especially if you start with those falling asleep in that state practices, those actually rewire your brain. They rewire your nervous system to actually be more in line with that kind of state of being. It actually happens. And then it just mirrors out into the physical as an experience. So we have all this power made in the image of Elohim. Elohim spoke the word and light manifested. The firmament manifested. Vegetation manifested. The lights in the firmament manifested. Animals and birds and fish manifested. And then something else happened when he formed mankind. And mankind is a formation. But the causative thing is like boom, boom, boom. The word speaks. The word manifests. We have that power. We can use that power. Let's start using that power. That's all it really takes, is that power. Physical means are so exhausting, but they line up when you use the power. We got this. We got this. We got this. I know somebody needs to hear this message right now because I didn't plan on any of this. But honestly, guys, we got this. Are you utilizing your state of being the way that the scriptures teach us? That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. And when we get there, we actually create this shalom. It's peace around us. The mountains and the hills break forth in singing before you, and the trees of the field clap their hands. The way is made straight for your manifestation. It's like an anchor. And Habakkuk says, Write the vision on the tablets. Make it plain. Though it tarry, wait. It will surely come. And that's my paraphrased version, but really that's what it comes down to. See yourself there. Proverbs. Keep it before your eyes. Keep those words, keep those promises before your eyes. One way of doing it is to read it all day, but it's literally just meaning see yourself there. Keep it before your eyes. Keep that as your goal, as your vision of yourself, as the outcome of humanity. All of that. Keep that as your goal. See that. See that in your heart space. Be there. And it manifests. All of these impossible things, like I said, legalization of cannabis, all of that, it's possible when you step in and really address the manifestational place. And I've had small manifestations where, like, I was at work and everybody was going nuts right at the beginning of this pandemic, and people were just crazy, and I was like, I have to get away from this. So I took my break. I went and locked myself in the change room, and I manifested a peaceful place. I manifested myself like completely unfazed. I went back down, and it was like I walked into a different day. Literally, everybody was calm. There was only like one or two people just doing work here and there, and it was calm. Instead of like half a dozen people fighting at one counter. So we have all of this from every level. We can manifest how other people behave or how we experience them. We're powerful beyond belief, guys. So that's what we needed to talk about today. And I really love this kind of talk because we really get deep and we really expose what we need to do in order to move further. Because, we could talk physical all day long. And that's encouragement, yes. And that's good, yes. But we have to be in a place where we can receive what's coming. What would you do if all of this was completely gone? If whatever you know to be corrupt was completely exposed and done away with, like tomorrow's headline news? Would you feel free? Or are you just trained in your mind? It's like the elephant with the rope around his neck. From a young age, they'll put a really heavy rope on the elephant's neck, and the elephant will try and break free, but it won't be able to, and eventually it will just come to accept that bondage. Well, when the elephant is huge, they just throw a light rope on his neck, and it's that same form of servitude comes over the elephant. Are we so brainwashed that we won't even recognize how free we are, that we can just rip that rope? Like the elephant can literally break that rope, but it's all in the mind. Free your mind.
Free your mind.
Lovely chat. Lovely chat. That was good. That was good, Source. That was good. We need to stay on guard, and we need to know that Source has got this. That's it. We need to know that Source has got this. We need to understand that Source has got this. Because when we know that, we're able to face whatever's coming at us. And knowing that also helps in manifesting an easy end to seeing that it stood no chance in the first place. Whatever comes up, it always falls in the face of Source's destiny for you. That's it. Until you achieve that destiny, nothing can stand in the way. And it's a lie of fear that keeps us from actually tapping in and being 100%. I don't think anybody ever is 100% because we have physical fears, but the more you let go, the further you go.
Write that down.
Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off here. I had an amazing chat. I'm going to have to go back, and as I'm editing this, I'm sure I'll be taking notes. But what comes through in these moments is priceless, guys. Take it to heart. Build on it. And let's all be partakers in this new world together. All right? So I love you guys. Receive the blessings. Take hold of them in your heart. See yourself there. Keep it before your eyes and manifest your best life yet. I'll check you in another video. Joel signing out once again. Agape. Salaam. Namaste. Hotep.
What a relief. When will this poisonous product cease? This is another public service announcement. You can believe it or you can doubt it. Let us begin now with the cow. The way it gets to your plate and how.